We must publish the army newspaper again. We must tell magnificent stories, stories that exalt sacrifice, bravery. We must make them believe in a victory. We must give them hope, pride, a desire to fight. Yes, we need to make examples, but examples to follow.
The men and women of old were not fools. And whether we're discussing the philosophy of the samurai, Stoicism, or even Machiavelli, the recurring principle which they all share is that man or woman is better equipped to deal with the problems of life by taking the experiences of other people and allowing their words and their actions to serve as a guideline in our own lives. By doing this, we become more grounded. We create deeper roots, develop more awareness, and perhaps we even become wiser. The purpose of life is to become more than what we are. Throughout your life, advance daily, becoming more skillful than yesterday, more skillful than today. This is never ending. It's not important to be better than someone else, but to be better than yesterday. From the very beginning of your studies, you establish your resolve and consider even the everyday things you hear and see as vessels for training your mind. When young men congregate, they engage in vapid talk of money, about profit and loss, their household fiscal problems, tasting fashion, and idle talk of sex. I hear that they see no reason to assemble other than to indulge in such topics of conversation. Warrior customs are deteriorating beyond repair. Instead of asking, what kind of man is he? What principles does he have? How many failures has he survived? How many tragedies has he witnessed or experienced? How does he deal with setbacks or illness? How strong are his convictions? Does he act honorably and selflessly? Is he kind and considerate? Is he honest and wise, straightforward and trustworthy? And yet, out of everything that make up a man, the first two questions are almost always, what does he do and how much money does he make? The existing state of affairs has emerged because society has become tawdry, and all that people think about are financial matters. People these days do not contemplate such details and spend their days indulging their own desires. When the time comes, he will bring shame upon himself, but he will be unaware of his decadent behavior and just do as he pleases in a boorish manner.
He criticized a phenomenon known as presentism, which means judging everyone in the past by the standards of the present. It's the belief that people who lived 100 or 500 or 1,000 years ago really should have known better. Did Columbus commit atrocities? Of course. But people back then were generally atrocious. But people back then were generally atrocious.
Why is it more socially acceptable for women to hate men than it is for men to hate women?
Because men are the devil.
Because men are trash.
Fuck the white people! Sound like a racist. I am a racist. Fuck white people. Fuck white people! I'm a black animal, nigga!
But people back then were generally atrocious.
That's sissy talk.
Why are the men of today expected to pay for the sins of the men of the past?
Because they still keep making the same mistakes.
I guess we got nothing to say to each other.
This single focus on creating and turning yourself into a so-called high-value man or woman makes one arrogant and uncompromising, fostering individuals who are unwilling to entertain perspectives other than their own. In the past, people were serious, and their resolution was absolutely sincere. They worked soundly on technique, and were neither daunted nor lazy. Such men believed what their teachers passed on to them, and they made great efforts day and night. They tested their techniques, spoke with their friends about their doubts, mastered what they had studied, and awakened themselves to principles. For this reason, what they acquired penetrated deeply within them. Nowadays, people are shallow, and their resolution is not in earnest. They dislike the strenuous and love the easy from the time they are young. When they see something vaguely clever, they want to learn it right away. But if taught in the manner of the old ways, they think it is not worth learning. In this way, the men of old are considered inadequate, and mastery becomes watered down. The students now only make efforts in things that might have them climb to new heights. This is the spirit of the times. But, my good friend, is it not possible that a real man should forget about living a certain number of years and should not cling to life, but leave it up to God, accepting, as women say, that no one can escape his fate, and turn his attention to how he can best live the life before him? To say that dying without reaching one's aim is to die in vain is a frivolity of wimpish samurai. We all want to live. On a large part, we reason our way into clinging to life. But if you sacrifice everything to obtain your goal and die short of fulfilling it, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Run through the list of those you know yourself, those who worked in vain, who failed to do what they should have. Everything fades so quickly, turns into legend, and soon oblivion covers it. Then, what should we work for? Only this: proper understanding, unselfish action, and truthful speech. Our resolve to accept whatever happens to us as necessary and familiar.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
There is no point in one's training in which one reaches the end. The instant you think you have finished, you have already strayed from the path. It is not good to settle into a set of opinions. It is a mistake to put forth effort and obtain some understanding and then stop at that. Do not rely on following the degree of understanding that you have discovered, but simply think, this is not enough. And you should study, setting your mind to work without putting things off. Within this is the way.
This is the way.
The purpose of philosophy is to protect you from traps most people seem to be falling in.
Read Marcus Aurelius. Of each particular thing, ask, what is it in itself? What is its nature?
Someone may say, what help can philosophy be to me if there is such a thing as fate? What help can philosophy be if God controls all? What help can it be if all is governed by chance? Or in our case, the government? Whichever is true, even if all of them are true, we still need to practice philosophy. Whether we are caught in the grasp of an inexorable law of fate, whether it is God who as Lord of the universe has ordered all things, or whether the affairs of mankind are tossed and buffeted haphazardly by chance, it is philosophy that has the duty of protecting us. Whether we are carried along and meshed in a train of fated happenings, or whether we are at the mercy of the sudden and unforeseeable. Whenever you feel like it afterwards, grab your notebook and look at the words you wrote down. After a while, the things you wrote down and found interesting will find a lasting place in your mind and memory, and you will instinctively begin to think about the things you wrote down when you least expect it, and they will become a reflex. I have done this for the past 20 years, so I can make you a solemn vow. After the first book, you will have changed. After the second book, you will place a far greater value on your books than any amount of money. And you will begin to hear the call.
For this reason, although one would like to change today's world back to the spirit of 100 years or more ago, it cannot be done. Thus, it is important to make the best out of every generation.
After the third book, you will realize why reading is fundamental and essential in every life, regardless of who we are,
or where we come from.
You will begin to lament those who spend their days glued to a phone, watching nonsense that contributes nothing to no one and keep you from finding happiness. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I've spent my youth without internet. final and greatest truth. That ultimate mastery comes not of the body, but of the mind.
You fight well in the old style.
How many of us try to consider every angle, every reasoning, every justification, and delve to the truth of the matter, parts of it anyway, from all sides? Channels like mine that hopefully challenge you to ask questions about others, sure, but more importantly about yourself. These are the channels that are ignored. Why ask a question when you can simply demand a solution? Why reflect on anything when you can just lay the blame at someone else? Why bother to pick up a book when you have countless channels giving you the answers?
They're books.
What are books?
This kind of thinking is the death of reason. Instead, please allow me to share something from my favorite book. If one has no earnest daily intention, does not consider what it is to be a warrior, even in his dreams, and lives through the day idly, he can be said to be worthy of punishment. The point isn't whether we agree or disagree with someone. It's the fact that most people are utterly convinced that they are the only ones who are on the side of righteousness and the truth.
That's vanity. Vanity. Definitely my favorite sin.
And everyone else, well, they must be wrong, short-sighted, uneducated, or simply stupid.
Oh, you motherfucker!
Often enough, we also consider them dangerous.
Such a waste.
Thankfully, there are still people curious enough to read a few clever quotes. Some will even try to remember them and allow their words to become a part of them.